Plenty of people have been covering this surprise sneak attack with this bill they passed. This is a bill as it appears on a parliamentary website. Apparently 116 for, 7 against the major parties regime, passing a law that is amazingly similar to that over in the UK and Canada. Now, I'm not going to do a deep dive, just a couple of snippets. And this passage here highlights the absolute absurdity of the language used here. It says religious official includes a person, and it goes on to say whether or not the person has been appointed to an official role. In other words, not a religious official is included as a religious official. So that was just in a schedule. Once we get into the offences, they now start to expand it. Aggravated offence for religious officials or other spiritual leaders, etc. Here we go, the brackets, another leader, however described. Secular. So even if you're not religious, you're coming under this religious or preachers, because the selling point was firebrand imams in a mosque. But now it's someone at a bus stop. And the penalty is imprisonment for 12 years for committing a hate crime. Now, hate crime, before I get into what it is retrospective. They can go back over social media posts. Now, here's how broad it is. A lot of people have been talking about this. So a person who fears harassment, they don't actually have to be harassed. They just fear they're being harassed.
Minister, Kaya, did she say go to a gas chamber? She said she told us to go to a gas chamber.
12 years in jail for this, because obviously he felt harassed. At this point, you may not think that this could get any worse. How it works is the AFP minister designates a group as a hate group, and any individual who is in that hate group, associates with that hate group, even makes a comment in support of that hate group, falls under causing fear, harassment, can be jailed for 12 years. The AFP minister is not required to observe any requirements of procedural fairness. It's supposed to apply to anything to do with the law, from being arrested, bail. Every decision has to follow procedural fairness. They didn't want to leave it up to subjective. They have actually immunised the AFP minister from having to be procedurally fair. Well, fair would be there would have to be evidence, and it would have to be reasonable that the person who was supposed to target group was fearing harassment, because all that's taken out because the AFP minister doesn't have to follow procedural fairness. If, in other words, they don't actually prove that they've feared harassment or even state that they've feared harassment. The decision is made up to the minister, who doesn't have to follow procedural fairness. So one of the intentions of passing this bill is to stop people talking about this. I think the main reason, in particular leading up to the next couple of election cycles, the major parties regime know that after all their trespasses over the past decades, giving everything away, driving everyone into poverty, ratcheting up the debt, electors are onto them and are going to dump them and move to the minor parties, including One Nation. And this broad law that covers anything you could possibly think to say with no procedural fairness, they plan on using it in order to shut down political discussion that highlights their trespasses. And don't put it past them that they are not going to designate political parties that threaten them, that are going up in the polls, maybe even One Nation, as a hate group, because there's no procedural fairness. Now, this bill was passed in the dead of night without debate by politicians that have been voted in that represent the people. They do not have consent for this from the people, but it's not for the people, it's against the people. Now, if it's against the people, it's against what the diggers fought for. This bill, they've had lots of laws and policies that have eroded what the diggers fought for, but I think this makes I don't think it's too big a call, this makes their sacrifice meaningless.